from the host from Nerds, Flirts, and Shirts. And with me today is Jason Sacco from the One Piece podcast. And can you tell us a little bit about what the One Piece podcast is?
One Piece podcast is a podcast we used to do 2 times a week, but now it's down to once a week, where we pretty much talk about One Piece and we go over the latest episode, the latest chapter through Weekly Jump, and pretty much answer fan questions. And then we also tend to have cast interviews as well from the Funimation dub.
Mm-hmm. And so, I believe it was started by Zach and Ed.
Yeah, Zach and Ed were the original creators, and I came on around last year, towards the very end of October.
So, how did you become involved with it?
I had gotten a message asking me if I wanted to be on, and then, like the timely person I am, it took me a few months to reply. And so Strong World was coming out, and the second trailer was coming out, and I really liked the second trailer, and I was like, oh, I'd love to talk about this. Then I looked through my inbox, I'm like, oh yeah. So I sent Zach a message, just like, if you're still interested, I'd like to talk about that. So.
Right, nice. And so what was your first podcast like?
My first podcast was, no, it was before I had a good microphone, so it was very quiet audio. And actually, since then, I've upgraded. I had a headset, USB mic, then I had a regular USB mic, and then I got like the Snowball USB mic from Blue Microphones, which we totally love that company. The microphones we've gotten through them have been amazing.
Yeah. So, what drew you to One Piece personally, like the series?
Well, I remember years ago when when they first acquired it, and they had a Shonen Jump issue 0.
Mm-hmm.
And issue 0 had like little tidbits, and it had like, Luffy doing the Gomu Gomu no balloon, and basically bouncing Buggy's cannonball back into him, and I was like, whoa, this seems pretty whacked out. This seems pretty interesting. So I looked into it, and I've been a fan ever since.
Okay. So, you guys have recently started a new podcast called the One Piece Logbook.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
One Piece Logbook is something aimed toward people that are just trying to get into One Piece, and because we realize, this is a very big series, so gradual steps are required. So basically we do it volume by volume according to the manga, where we break it down. We have Steven, who does manga recap pretty much of the chapter and goes over the chapter in depth of that volume. And then we also have Steve, who goes over the anime episodes and some of the differences between the anime and the manga. I go over kind of like a thesis part where I choose a certain theme, and then kind of analyze it, and then each week, if a previous theme comes into play again, I'll bring it back up, so that segment will grow until I realize, wow, what did I start? And then we also have the dude who does little things that you might have missed, things hidden in the background, little character nuances, and
like Panda?
Yes. I believe we are planning something for Panama. We haven't gotten into that. That didn't start until volume, I think it was 7 or 6. Yeah. So,
yeah, that sounds right.
So when Panama comes up, we'll see if we want to do a little segment or not for that. But then also we have someone on who's just getting into One Piece to give it from a new fan's perspective. So, and then we kind of do a roundtable discussion to close everything off. And it's actually come along a good way. I'm actually enjoying those. So.
I can't wait for the next release.
Yeah.
It's nice looking over stuff from the beginning. You're like, wow, I can't believe I forgot that.
I find One Piece is one of those theories that you just get more and more from when you reread it. Mm-hmm. So doing this is great, especially with the current chapters, because every time we finish a volume, Otis recently done those new title pages, so it's kind of a revisit kind of thing. So it's works out perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you guys also do another podcast called the Full Metal Podcast, and that format's a little bit different than how you go about the One Piece podcast. Did you have any decisions behind that?
Wow. The initial decisions behind Full Metal, it was just something we wanted to do. We actually had said for a little bit before that if we ever did a podcast for another series, it'd probably be Full Metal Alchemist. And then we were at a convention where Vic was there, and we were talking to him, and it's like, okay, we should do this. So we did a once a month kind of format.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely different format because the series is done. It's over, maybe except for the movie that's not out yet, but the manga's done, so there's really no manga recaps. You can't do anime recaps since there's no new episodes, so it's a bit of a different format, but we're actually enjoying it a lot and have a good amount of things actually planned for the future.
Alright, nice. Now, I'm gonna go into a little bit of Anime Fans Help Japan.
Right.
Now, you guys asked all the guests on your 24-hour podcast, where were you when you first heard the news, so where were you?
Where was I? I was rolling around in bed trying to wake up for work that morning. So I like any responsible person would do is instead of getting ready, I would take my phone out. I was like, okay, let's check Twitter and Facebook and all that. And so that's when I saw all the news, and then I immediately started looking at my friends who are over there, Greg, who we have on the One Piece podcast, and Julian, who you may know from the Daizenshu podcast. I just had to make sure that they were all right, and then I emailed a bunch of people too. I emailed my tour guide that I had last year when I went over there to make sure. And thank God everybody that I contacted was all right.
I know I would have done the exact same thing with my high school friend who is now living back in Japan. She actually was on break, so she was over here, but her Facebook page was flooded because some people didn't know she was visiting.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't really get any work done that day, to be honest, because I was preoccupied. We were getting constant updates via Greg and everything, and thank God, my boss and nurse there and everything. It's great and very actually supportive of the whole Anime Fans. When I had to contribute time to getting that set up, everybody was understanding it. It was fantastic.
So, can you tell us a little bit how you guys got together and put together the Anime Fans Help Japan?
Well, Zach was in contact with a bunch of different podcasts, and that's how that started. And then Zach, for the most part, was contacting some of the voice actors. First, obviously, we went for J. Michael Tatum, who, even though he was at a con, he called in. And actually, a couple people were at conventions, and they called in. And, for example, Sean Schemmel, who couldn't be on or something, he asked to record something. So, I mean, a lot of people came together, and once we got in contact with Wendy Lee, she contacted other people to come on as well. So it really actually fell into place, and really a lot of kudos to Zach setting all the guest list up. And then for other stuff, we contacted I contacted Right Stuff, and others are just prizes to give away, just something. So it was it was a fun little effort and many fun calls.
Yeah. And you use Global Giving for the charity, the fundraiser.
Yes, Global Giving, we found out that they give the most back, and it was immediate relief as well, so we knew the money was getting there. That was really important to us.
Yeah, no, I know the first day it happened, I started looking for charities, and I first found Global Giving, and I immediately donated money.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy my birthday was around the corner because I got money, so I could put more in and still buy manga and anime I wanted. But yeah. And so you've already explained a little bit about planning the 24-hour podcast. What was that like doing it?
Oh, God, I don't even know if I have the recollection to actually describe it fully. Or, I was brain dead for some of that. I mean, it started off great. Greg, also in Japan, was up for most of it, and then us three were up for most. I was up for the whole thing because there's actually a little technical difficulty we actually had where once we were like, okay, this is going to be our break, my internet decided to die, and then there was a lot of like, okay, gotta figure this out. By the time that was figured out, I was like, let me just stay down here to make sure everything keeps working. But no, the 5-hour energy drinks, our Plan B did not work at all. No, they may keep you awake, but you are still dead inside. Mm-hmm. That's the best way to describe it.
I stopped watching a little bit into, it was 2 o'clock, and it was Patrick,
Sites?
Yeah, Sites, that was it. Yeah. I listened to a little bit, then I'm like, I can't stay up. I need to wake up tomorrow and write a paper. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and we've actually been releasing them, so they're actually on our website now. So the first 2 parts are out there, and actually one of the guests that wasn't really anime industry related, but was pretty cool. Was Todd Cochran, who was the CEO of Raw Voice Media, and that was just a very interesting discussion.
That was very interesting, especially we do radio, so it's a little bit different, but what he was saying about live there's not as many, you make mistakes you try and get better, and it's that's all well and good, but until you start having technical difficulties, and then you have technical difficulties that are different from the ones you previously had, so you gotta learn to think on your feet, and it's hard.
I mean, I know I was going back and forth between the chat room and not, during the beginning it's okay, this is lagging for a lot of people. Why is it lagging? Alright, let's try playing with quality control, see if we can get a nice smoother stream going, and then the misfortune, I think it was at 5 a.m., where it's okay, I'm not awake really, and I have to deal with this. This should be fun.
Yeah. And can you tell us a little about the tools you use to make it possible, the 24-hour podcast?
The tools we use. Any laptop, but we used Ustream, and then I don't think I remember the programs that well. We have Skype, and then we have a Skype hijack. So basically, people could the Skype call could go into the Ustream, and then. I mean, also from that day, everything's a blur, honestly, and we really were planning it that day. It was okay, we got 3 hours. I think there was sometimes spent earlier in the week where we were trying on a different laptop with different programs, and then that didn't work out. But no, luckily I had a basement, and it was nice, spacious, so it gave us room to breathe, and that's always important too when having those things, because you can walk around. Yeah, but I don't remember the names of the programs.
Yeah, because I know you were on your laptop and you had that screen at the bottom, and you all 3 had laptops, so I was wondering what others were doing.
For that, well, Zach's main one was to host everything. Steve would be moderating the chat room. From time to time, I would also be doing some moderating, but also I would be contacting people. So if we were running a little over, I would be the one to message people hey, we are, give us a few minutes. And if someone tried calling us, for example, there would be times where it's okay, what's the number? Can we call that number? Just say, hey, wait a few minutes. So it was good to have 3 of us, because we each, it really worked out well, because God, if it was one person, God bless them, but.
Oh no, one person's hard, and that would be I think for the 24-hour podcast possible.
Yeah, I mean,
or really just Herculean task.
Yeah, Todd Cochran did a 24-hour podcast by himself, where the podcast awards, and
Mhm.
you just well, he has a lot of good equipment
Yeah.
too. It's like, oh wow, but no, it was really a group effort, and
Mhm.
it couldn't have asked for a better group to work with.
And let's see. Do you remember what your reaction was when you reached your initial goal?
Oh God, the 25,000 one. Well,
Yeah.
that was like, I believe Quantifier donated the 5,000, and that
Mhm.
helped us like go over, or we're just below, and days blur. But I remember we were like, yeah, it's amazing, and then I remember we totally flipped out when we passed our second goal, like, holy shit, because our brains were like gone by that point, so everything was just pretty much mind blowing, because could actually say, well, we were actually getting, like, towards the last hour, a lot was coming in at a time, so it was
Yeah.
actually pretty
I
amazing.
think it probably was because like more people were up on the East Coast maybe, and like people were waking up on the West Coast, I believe.
Well, that was like,
Oh no,
at
that was
6
6
p.m.
o'clock. I'm thinking of when I logged on.
Yeah.
Also, I like stayed up as long as I could for that podcast.
Yeah.
And woke up as early as I could.
I mean, there's some people that they stood on for the whole 24 hours, where God bless them.
Yeah.
But no, it was definitely worth it, and then I got up at 4 the next morning, so that was not worth it.
Yeah, but like congratulations on reaching your goal, and
Oh,
like
thank you.
amazing effort. It was just an amazing experience.
Mhm.
You said 60 days it takes for Global Giving to get to.
I don't remember the number offhand. I know when it won this quote, but no, it should be on their website, which is globalgiving.org/about-us. And no, basically we do have other things planned for the future, so keep watching the site.
Alright, that's cool. Alright, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you have a great day.
You as well.